Hello, boils and ghouls. It's Count Driskula here, aka Paul Driscoll, and I've got the Crypt Keeper himself out for a killing good time. We have Kingy, aka Gorgon King. So join us for this fabulous Halloween ZX Spooktrum homebrew of horror in this Halloween special. So many puns there. How are you, Kingy?
Awful. Wow. I mean, did that even... How many attempts did you rehearse that in the mirror today?
Oh, I haven't at all. That's why it was so bad. Anyway, hello. So as that terrible intro explains, we thought we'd do something a bit different here for Halloween, because there's so many games I guess we could still do, but we've done so many Halloween specials now over the years. It's always difficult thinking something new, but I think we hit on something really cool this time. We've decided to go for newer Spectrum games out there with a spooky or Halloween styling, and there's a surprisingly good number of them, and really good. So quite excited for this, because many were new to me. I'm sure to our listeners, many will be new to you, and it incorporates that both elements that we love of the Halloween of this time of year, but fun ones as well, that you get that nostalgia kick of it being the computer of many people's childhood, or that period of our childhood where things were simple and fun, isn't it, Kingy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. Now, we're talking 13 modern era games that have came out way past the expiry date of said computer. But that doesn't matter, because these games on this list here are pretty exceptional. And even though, I mean, there's some, how the hell did they manage this, kind of programming that far excels the abilities of programmers back in the days, especially those Russian coders that have really made the Spectrum sing over the last 15 years. It's incredible. But sometimes people come into here's an episode of a bunch of games that people have no affinity of, and therefore no rose tinted glasses, no nostalgia, no real affinity with, brings back memories. But these games, either they give you something, some of them give you something new that you've never really totally experienced on the Spectrum before, or they give hints and subtleties of things you're familiar with. That remembers me of this, and therefore there's a semi nostalgia that comes from it, but it's still the delight of, to this day, 2023, and we're still playing new ZX Spectrum games. I think that's fantastic.
That's wonderful, and to be honest, it really makes you appreciate there's something. I know maybe it's nostalgia, because obviously it's a machine I grew up with and you grew up with, and many of our listeners grew up with. But there is something inherently beautiful with that Spectrum color palette. The bright colors and just the actual colours that are chosen, isn't it, that you had as part of your default. They just sing off the page, and it's wonderful to see with some of these how well utilised those have been. And so kudos to people doing things like this.
Yeah, we're not playing the vast majority of these games here. None of them are monochromatic or anything like that, and they've got a lot of clever things within them to avoid the attribute clash and stuff like that. So real sort of Spectrum witchcraft going on here.
No, it is. I mean, we would have lost our. I certainly would have. We would have lost our shit if we saw any of these games back in the day.
That's the point. If you take your adult brain away and think what younger self would have reacted like with these games. Think if these games came out at that time, what would have Crash or your Sinclair or Sinclair user said in the reviews about it. These would be probably the games you were pirating, or if you were lucky enough for your parents to be purchasing them, that you don't want to wait and it appearing in a cover tape, because this is, you want it in the now, you want it in the moment, and you would have wanted these games because a lot of them have a real AAA vibe if came out back then.
Oh, definitely. But before we go into the show itself, what have you been up to retro-wise? What have you been up to?
What have I been doing? Well, absolutely stoked that we're nearly on the eve of going to Arcade Club.
Oh, yeah,
so that's really excited about that. So I'm sure the listeners have heard that on the last number of episodes we've we've recorded it, we keep mentioning it, but yet again, if you haven't heard it, our annual meetup is down in Bury near Manchester at Arcade Club on 14th, Saturday the 14th of October. Most of us will be there on the Friday night the 13th as well. If any of our listeners would like to join, and we've got, honestly, there's quite a lot of people coming this year, so it's going to be a real good one. Really looking forward to it. So, but please, if you feel that you need to get away for the day and come down and play some arcade games with like-minded people, you're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, exactly. As we've sort of like mentioned, it's not like there's a special ticket or anything. You can just turn up on the day.
Sure.
But it's just, I mean, if you do plan to come down, probably just to make sure, reach out on our Discord channel, just purely because we'll be able to find you. It's a big place. And
Most of us will be wearing our RGDS t-shirts, so
yes, that's true. I've got to
helps
find my one.
identify us. Yeah, you're still fit.
Well, yeah, it seems to. I think you call me a fat bastard.
No, I just know you shrink everything in the wash, mate.
Oh yeah, everything shrinks. Yeah, that's what it is, Kiggy. Everything shrinks. Yeah.
Retro-wise, what have I been doing? I have continued with the guys on the Discord channel on the community gaming, and we're now on to Tomb Raider number 3. So really enjoying that. I bought it back in the day. I found it tough and a wee bit. I mean, disappointing is a bit a strong word to be honest, but yeah, it didn't gel with me back then. But now playing it after discontinuing the games with the gang, I'm really enjoying it. It does not hold your hand even on level 1. It's up to 11 already. It assumes that you know Tomb Raider, you know the mechanics. It's not giving you that, hold your hand, easy first few levels. It just chucks everything at you. But because everybody's been playing the previous games, it's kind of what you want now, let's put it up to a level. And some of the level designs in this are absolutely excellent. So I'm glad I have went back to it, and the guys that are playing it as well are thoroughly enjoying it. So it's good just having the chat in Discord as well as playing the game.
Yeah, no, I haven't really had time with that per se, but I'm quite looking forward to the remaster that's coming out.
Oh, that'll be excellent. Yeah, that was, I mean, the first 3 games see, that's the point. Even if I complete this comes out, I will go back to the beginning and play the all 3 games remastered. Absolutely. Yeah. And remember, don't forget to tune in to my chat and interview with King Monkey from Numbskull Designs.
Yeah. Well, for me, probably not too much. I mean, I've been getting already into the Halloween spirit. I've done a couple of 4 videos on my planned horror movies I'm going to watch all over October. So there's some ones I've not even seen, so I'm quite looking forward to that.
All right.
But the videos are there, just it's just there. Might give people ideas. I know most people aren't mad enough to watch all the movies that I'm planning to watch, but you might sort of like, if you watch the videos, say, oh, that's one that I didn't know, or what have you, and watch 1 or 2. I tend to go away from gore and more onto horror comedy and spooky ones rather than gore ones. I don't really like gory horror particularly. Yeah, I mean, things like Friday the 13th, I don't see that gory. It's a bit comical, isn't it? But the really gory ones I keep away from. But the other thing I've done is I picked up a Mayflash F300 Elite Pro Stick. It's got Sanwa parts, you see, so that sort of like sold me on. Was yours an Elite? I remember you bought a Mayflash.
It's a Mayflash 400 or something. Wired. It's 2 seconds. It's right above me. 2 seconds. I'm just going to stretch if I'm tall enough. No, it's F300 actually. Yeah,
so you got an F300 like me, but this is the Elite one. So the difference is it's got Sanwa parts in. To be honest, they're about to release F700. That's how far along they are. But yeah, for me, it's just about the Sanwa parts. I didn't see.
For sure. I mean, the parts inside are already good anyway. Inside the bloody thing. I mean, that's a great. Yeah. It's a great controller. To be honest, I haven't used it as much now that I've got the arcade.
No, I suppose you wouldn't. Yeah. But I also bought. I haven't quite worked it out yet, but I bought one of those magic connectors as well. And from what I understand, with this magic connector, I should be able to wirelessly hook up like all my consoles into the Mayflash F300, so the Switch, the Xbox. If I had a PS4 or PS5, I'd be able to do that as well. So that seemed quite cool as well.
That's good. Yeah. Oh, smart.
I've only used it actually, ironically, I've used it for these Spectrum games, or I also used it for, well, I'm doing the letter V of the arcade games, so you know the best games of a letter.
Yeah.
I'm to letter V now.
You're at the difficult end.
Oh no, there's loads of good ones in V. Every letter is absolutely bang on. It really
Vendetta.
is. Yeah, well, you just have to say the word Virtua, and you've got a whole stack of them.
That's true. You can just spend an evening doing that.
Yeah. So yes, I've been having a blast with that. So anyway, should we go on to the main show itself?
I think so, because we've got some cracking games.
Yeah, we got some amazing ones.
discuss,
So we got 13 Tales of Terror, so get out that horror candy and ice cream as we take you through this horror haven lineup. And first, we've got a really good one, haven't we? We have Ghostly Capers. I've decided to go for one of the newest ones. Yeah, well, Ghostly Capers, this came out on the 25th of September. So this year, so it's literally not very old at all.
And that's just the physical copies. The digital hasn't been released yet, so we have an advanced preview here.
Yes, and this one is really good. It's done by Technomic Software, and to buy the physical release, it's €12.90. So that's around about £11.20 for a boxed physical tape copy, which is awesome, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Now it stars superhero Steve. He's set up a retro gaming convention, and everybody is about to go there. But wouldn't you know it, he's chosen a haunted house as its venue, and all the ghosts and ghoulies are not best pleased of this sudden intrusion on their home, and so they've hidden away all the retro items. So Steve must go round the convention, dodging the ghosts and ghoulies, and getting back all these retro items before the event opens.
Yeah.
Now I'll go to you, Kingy. What's do you want to describe the game itself? That's a bit of the story.
Yeah,
and your views on it. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I was having a little chat with the actual author, Lee Chops Stevenson, anyway, in advance of this, because he rose to fame, if you want, in the Spectrum land in recent times of doing a whole series of video games starring Mr. Hare, so a little pube that runs about, and and he's got some are shoot 'em up, some are platform games, so like a bit like in the Spectrum days that he didn't stick to one genre with the mascot that you had created. He done different games within. So this is a little break away from this, and he wrote this in conjunction with the Retcon convention that he was going to. So it was this was available to play at the event, and people can purchase the early bird if you want for the physical of the cassette. So it's a gorgeously coloured flick screen platform adventure. It kind of has to me it remembers me the charm of the sort of latter years Codemasters games, a little bit, with probably an influence from Monty Mole and stuff like that. So slightly larger graphics and Manic Miner size, not much, but more like the Monty Mole, aforementioned Monty Mole size. So you start off in the grand stairwell of the convention hotel you're in, so you can go to all the different routes, and you have to find the pilfered retro gear that the ghosts or poltergeists have stolen for the display in the convention. Buggers that they are, you know what I mean? So Game Boys and joysticks and retro printers and whatnot, they're to be found, and you have to figure out how the hell you're going to get them. And it's a lot easier said than done. It's quite a tough...
Oh, it's a tough game.
It is a tough game, but it's one of these ones where it's not one of these run into the screen and just go hell for leather. You have to be patient, learn the patterns of the moving spooks in the screens, where it's skulls or Slimer like ghosts, hands, and there's all various creatures, hanging eyeballs that hang suspended from the ceiling, floors that vanish and reappear. But it's just a charming, light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek, horror-themed game, not meant to instill fear in you, but just, comic spook fun. And that's what it is. And I just love the whole... I mean, being a fan of platforming games anyway, I think, personally, I like this better than the Mr. Hare series. I think it's a brilliant game. Real hardcore platforming going on here. And I've just had great fun trying to get better at it. And you do get better the more you play. You learn things and know what you... It's one of these games, once you get used to the engine and learn the jumping arc, and know how close you can go to the edge of the floors and such, then you get slightly better.
Well, it took me a while to realise that actually you become when you duck, you can duck your head into your jumper, and that makes you invulnerable. I just assumed you were ducking, so that helped.
Yeah.
But there's so much variety to the characters. Really clever level design here. And because it's a retro convention, it's cool. You've got arcade cabinets and old computer systems amongst all these really wide-ranging, imaginative ghosts and ghouls, isn't it? You're absolutely right. It's got that same sort of imagination of games like Monty Mole, but just amazing graphics, and it's actually quite big, isn't it, when you get into it, the amount of places
you think, I've come to a dead end, and you don't realise it, it could be then leaping across the chandeliers to go back the way, and you get up further, so I'm not saying it's the biggest game that we're going to be playing, but I think the amount of screens on it is ample, or it would just become, you probably get a bit of anxiety about the amount of rooms you'd have to visit to collect the gear, because you will lose lives playing it until you become proficient at it. But you're right, it's the colours in this game. It uses the entire Spectrum palette brilliantly. Every room, from bookshelves to doors to stairwells to desks, and you said all the different retro consoles that have already been set up, not consoles, arcade machines, sorry. So you'll see a Space Invader or a skull flashing away within the screens of the arcade cabs. But it is one of these games where, if you love games where you explore just as much as you're collecting the retro gear, then you're going to get a lot out of this if you're a sucker for that platform genre. Yeah, no, I was really impressed with this. It's really good. So he's from the UK, is he? He's from the UK, yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Because I say a lot of these homebrew ones from either Spain or Russia, isn't it? That's correct, yeah. Vast majority will be, but no, this is Portugal, some of them, yeah. Yes, that's right. So this one is definitely UK based, this one. And I just think if you look at the physical copy of the cassette, it looks gorgeous with the artwork printed on the cassette. Good. There was an actual... he posted a video on his own Facebook page the other day showing them in production and watching the printer or the laser etcher running across and doing multiple cassettes. What an amazing thing in this day and age that people can still find manufacturers to produce and duplicate cassettes and produce the whole thing, the cassette, the pamphlet inside, everything, the sleeve, you know what I mean? That's just brilliant.
Oh, it's awesome. And one of the things that I thought was pretty cool as well, because obviously we only played the Spectrum version, but apparently on side B, which of course we didn't have access, well, I didn't have access to, the ULA Plus version of Ghost of the Caper. So I presume that works with, is that the Spectrum Next and stuff?
Yeah, the Spectrum Next does it, but there's many emulators that support that as well.
Yeah.
So you can do, there's lots of games. Now, there's a link I'm going to post in the show notes. There's a whole collection of ULA Plus enhanced games, all the classics. There's 300 games, including Manic Miner, Everyone's a Wally. I just had a scan through it and tried a few, and it's weird playing these with an enhanced colour palette. It's like, this is great.
Oh, I'd love to try that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Yeah.
Share the link. Yeah. No, overall, I think this is just an awesome game and great way to begin. And it's amazing, 2023, and we still have Spectrum games being made. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that, the in-game tune's brilliant. It's very soothing.
Oh, the music is brilliant. Yeah.
It really is good.
It's really catchy. Yeah, I couldn't afford. I mean, apart from it's rock hard. I mean, I hope your video of it is going to be better than my one. Cause
well, it depends how short we speak. The shorter we speak, then it'll fit in.
Mine's a lot of repeating of dying. Oh, that kills me. Right. Okay. So we go on to our second game then. For our second game, this is one that you've championed before, and it's, I think this is the right pronunciation, it's Bruxólico.
Bruxólico, that's right.
And you can get this on itch.io. It's $10, so that's about £8. But you don't just get the game itself, you get, it's a whole experience, isn't it, Kingy? So you have like audio MP3s with like an introduction to the world you're about to enter the level.
Yes.
There's a PDF book full of pictures to sort of bring you along in the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. As you alluded to there, right, the whole presentation of this product before even going on to the game is fantastic, right? You may think, oh, he's asking for about £8 for this, but this game, he's put his blood, sweat and tears into this in creating this wonderful product. And to have an audiobook that plays alongside it, where you know that the only other game that really did that was Deus Ex Machina, right, way back in the day from Automata, the similar thing where you meant to play it alongside the game, and so he's doing this narration of the travels of the little creature, the hoofed creature that you control. Now, the premise of this game basically is there's a bottomless well somewhere in the forest, okay? And all of man's hatred has been cast down there throughout the centuries, it just fills up. And it's a pit to hell, basically. And it filled up enough with hate, a bit like the slime in Ghostbusters 2, isn't it? The ectoplasm, it's all the hate. The more anger it is, the more violent it gets. It's kind of a bit like that.
I was thinking Blackpool, but yeah.
Oh, you're not going to play Expo there then. So, out of the pit, all the creatures come, including this runt of the litter, if you want, that all the demons and devils hate for some reason. Therefore, he's had enough. He's going to go back down that well and kick some arse, basically. So it's a hoof 'em up. You can't punch, but you can kick with your hoofs. And they go large, and it kind of remembers me of Dynamite Ducks with the big, the big boot. Yeah,
the big hoof as he punches. Yeah.
So this game, if anybody recalls, Paul and I covered this on Homebrew Games when we'd done a bunch of machines a while back, and for the Spectrum we chose TCQ. Now this is the same author as that TCQ game, and you can see the similarities of how he works with the colour palette. The games are very abstract as well. It's incredible. Everything's done. Basically, he's retelling folklore tales from Brazil, where he comes from, okay? And it's all based on Azorian culture. So it's like there's a travelling troupe of performers come to tell the tale, and you can imagine the wagons opened and it's just a diorama being created off the scenes. And this is what this game's been done like. So it's a lot of subtleties like that.
Oh, it's stunning, isn't it? I mean, it really gives that feeling of 3D, isn't he? And just that same artistic wonder that he did with that game that we covered previously. He's done it even more so here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's excelled this time. And his name is Paulo Villalva. Is his name, and I've corresponded with him a good number of times on Twitter. There, he's so passionate about his games, and I'm going to be doing an interview with him for Crash Magazine coming up at some point as well, because I still can't believe that for someone that, from what I read previously on dialogue on his previous games, he hadn't come across the Spectrum until 2013, and just saw this as this ideal medium with its strange colour palette to deliver the types of games that he wants to deliver. And it's like, wow. And then sometimes it's scroll, sometimes it's flick screen, but as a scroll and beat 'em up to a certain degree, or kick 'em up, whatever you want to call it, not...
Well, it's definitely a platformer, but you got some amazing like end level bosses, which are huge characters.
Yeah.
And then you get your scrolling, isn't it? Elements, because it's almost like it's it's almost like with puppetry, isn't it, where they scroll the scenery. It's kind
that's
of
right.
Like that,
it's just like a marionette thing. That's the whole premise behind it, and I think it's very clever to try to portray that on the Spectrum. In fact, hardly anyone's ever really portrayed that apart from Puppeteer on the PlayStation 3, which I don't know if you've ever played. Is incredible.
No. So what was that called again? Sorry,
Puppeteer.
Puppeteer. Yes, I know of it. I've not played it, but yeah.
That's great. Really good.
Yeah. Well, you had Punch and Judy on the Spectrum.
It's the way to do it.
No, but you're right. This really, really impressed me. In some ways, actually, I don't say this lightly. I think it's the best game that I personally have played on the Spectrum. I think just blew me away. Just blew me away. It was just every screen was a pure joy. And you're right. The fact that it's a unique culturally to what we're used to, the fact that it's sort of about Brazilian culture, just makes it more intriguing as well.
That's right, because a lot of our games would be, most of ours we were exposed to were UK centric back in the day, weren't they? Because we didn't have, unless you had a Commodore and there was more international games, but they were really shoot 'em ups and war and killing, typical. But on the Spectrum, we had like school days, typical British school, or everyone's a Wally, where it's just all the tradesmen within a small British village and whatnot. So we had many quirky games like this. This feels like nothing else you've played or seen before.
But technically it's impressive as well. I mean, some of the scrolling in some of the parts of the level are just insanely fast. You're like, how is the Spectrum achieving this? No, I was really, really impressed with this.
Well, this has been done in that engine, the AGD engine. This is done in MAGD.
Yeah.
But if people do advanced scripting on it and not just use the vanilla engine, they can do absolute wonders, because you can play some of the games and the movement is less fluid. You recognise that engine then, if you see what I mean. It's like any engine, once you've played a number of them, you start to see the homogenization of it. Right? This doesn't feel like this at all. He's really worked at this hard to give this absolutely fluid game that is visually stunning. Every single screen, room, level you visit, the use of the colours, the depth, that pseudo 3D feel to it, all the different sprite works, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yeah, and it feels huge as well because it's in 4 parts.
It is in 4 parts. That's right.
And before each part, that's when you play you play the sort of like the MP3 file.
That's correct. Yeah.
To sort of set the scene.
Right.
But yeah, every level just is giving you something new. It's not like, oh, I've seen it all. Every part is a pure delight. I mean, I couldn't stop playing this. It was just so good. I've realised I'm so bad at video games. I still struggle.
See, when I reviewed this for Crash, and it's only been about 3 issues ago now, I sat and played this just in one sitting and completed it in one sitting.
Wow.
And was blown away, absolutely smitten with it, and it deservedly got a Crash smash.
Oh, definitely, yeah. This is definitely worth a Crash.
And I think it is worth the asking price, because this guy has put a lot of his passion, blood, sweat into it. At the end of the day, there's many people that do it for nothing, for the love of it, and it's great that there's content creators out there making games still for old systems, whatever it be, where it's the Spectrum, where it's the, even you get games out in the Mega Drive these days. I love this labour of love, and people are passionate about old systems to deliver it. But a lot of times it's a thankless task. They're doing it for nothing. You download it on itch.io, right, and it's free, but obviously when you go to the download bit, there's always an option to pay $2, isn't there?
Yeah.
People need to ask themselves, well, how often have I actually done that and paid for that? You know what I mean? Probably not. So the asking price isn't much. It's well worth the money. If you want to see more games like this from this creator, then it's well worth it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I really, really enjoyed this one, as I think sort of came across. It's I just couldn't fault it. All I could fault was my bad playing ability. But no, it's one that I want to go back and complete. So I got about halfway through, which is quite a good amount considering the amount of games we got to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What brilliant music again in it.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, just everything about it. I thought it was a real experience. That's the way I could.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
The game is an experience. Yeah.
So great shout out with this, and another one. You say 2023. This came out, doesn't it?
Yeah, April 2023. This came out. Yeah.
So just amazing that we're getting such quality. Not just games get released, but such quality.
Yeah.
So awesome. That's. And I thought it was nice to give our listeners 2 of the most recent ones at the beginning of all of this, because the chances are they'll be new to everybody. Okay, so should we go on to our third game?
What are you choosing for us?
So I've chosen Castlevania, the Spectral Interlude. Now this came out way back in 2015. It's been out a while. And it started off as a port for the Spectrum that we never got of Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. But it sort of became something so much more.
Yeah.
And my word, this it's blew me away for a long, long time, really. It's, again, beautiful graphics, loads of like sort of storyline and things that comes up, sort of explaining what's going on, isn't it? When you talk to people,
That's right.
They don't just say a few words. It's usually say
if you're into the. If you're into
I'm
the whole
not.
canon,
I was like click, click, click.
Well, it was interesting when this first came out, because I mean, we have briefly covered this in the past. Andy Godoy joined me and we done a homebrew one a good few years back, and he chose this on his list, but it's more fitting for a Halloween episode, so that's
Oh, we couldn't not leave this one.
Yeah,
off the
that's
table.
right. But our own Matt Lamborn, with him being, a fan of the Castlevania series, he was asking me questions about this. Obviously, with him being younger, he doesn't really have an affinity with the 8-bit period like this, but he was very intrigued because to have a game in the canon of the series, you know, just telling you why Belmont was, why he disappeared, where did he vanish to, what did he get up to, you know. So a little side tale, if you want. That's really good. It's very clever.
Oh, it is. I mean, of course, this isn't like official canon or anything like this. This is just some people doing it.
Yeah, fan-based canon, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just even if you're not into, I mean, I'm not really into all the storylines, but this is a really good Castlevania game. Game makes fantastic use of the Spectrum color palette, and particularly the detail. I mean, that's one of the things that the Spectrum had over a lot of its contemporaries, particularly the C64, is it had so much more detail to the sprites, didn't it?
Yeah, sprites were square, not oblong.
So it just and this is another one that uses it. It's got some really big creatures in it as well. Some of the end level bosses are absolutely huge sprites, but more importantly, it just plays really, really solidly as a Castlevania game. I mean, if this
you recognise it immediately. Now, what it feels like to me is that Ocean got the rights of this back in the day, and they put their best team on developing a port for the Spectrum. This is the level we're speaking about here. So even from the opening of the walking through the graveyard, and you've got the mountains and the distance, and just as you said, just the detail. You've got all the dilapidated gravestones. You've got rusted railings, skeletons coming towards you, and there's secrets to be found in there. Just immediately you can go lower down into tombs and fight vampires down there, and that's before even getting into the bloody castle, which then everybody recognises it. You recognise it immediately as a Castlevania style castle. For those familiar with the aesthetics of that game, it's just fantastic to play. The way the whip works is very fluid. The controls are completely tight. And just the attention to detail and the use of the colour is incredible.
Oh, it is. And the music, again, is absolutely stunning. Yeah, there's just no shortcuts with this. And of course, you know, it has the elements of Castlevania 2 with all the shops and all of that side of things as well. So, yeah, no, I mean, I've been a fan of this for a long time. Obviously, it's been out a longest while, but yeah, I mean, if even if you don't have an affinity with the Spectrum, I mean, one of the things I hope with all of these games actually that, you know, give these a try on an emulator or what have you, and I think you'd really learn to appreciate what the Spectrum could do when pushed. Really, really impressive game and system, and absolutely huge game. I just couldn't believe how.
Well, that's the
long
point in this, where some of the other games, if you become proficient at and the game, most of the games we're playing, you win in 15 minutes, right? This will take you hours. There's save points, thankfully, you know, you can save your game. Thank goodness for save states overall in modern emulators or whatever, because you would have probably got a lot further than any of our games back in the day if such a thing existed, you know. I did when I had the multi-8 interface and I was able to save the game at a stage, but you still needed to save it in real time onto a cassette. I wasn't just saving the snapshot, and you know, it was a process.
Yeah,
you know. But this is sprawling from everything you said, from various locations, shops to visit for weapon upgrades, and brilliant boss fights. Tough as nails boss fights.
Really tough. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, particularly because it's so disheartening. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played the Amiga home port of Castlevania. It's horrendous.
I've not, no.
Yeah, don't. You know, but it just shows you that, you know, the missed opportunities is to say, like, Konami did sort of like license out in those early days to some platforms.
Yeah.
And the wasted opportunity that they just you know, they didn't give it the respect it deserved. They just put like a cash-in team to just quickly churn something out based on the name.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, but this really shows you what it's capable of, and yeah, great game. Very impressed.
Oh, I mean, I'm just so impressed with the overall feel and polish to this that, I mean, I really think if this came out back in the day, it would have been a definite crash smash. It would have been the charts for ages, and it would have been definitely one of the big software houses that would have released this.
Yeah,
uses that.
AAA all over this, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. This is really, really good, and I'm just glad it hasn't been shut down or it's still available on websites and things.
Yeah.
As I say, this is another Russian team developed game, so I don't know whether we're going to see stuff like this with Weld being what it is moving forward, but I am intrigued actually. They have done a game on the Spectrum Next, and it's also on Windows, called Treasure Hunters. I noticed the same team, so I'm sort of like I'm quite tempted to try and pick that up, see what that's like. A totally different game, of course, but yeah, it's be interested to see what they did there as well.
Well, what have you never played Aliens Neoplasma by them?
Oh, is that by them as well? Yes, I have played that. Yes, that's awesome.
Sensational as well.
Yeah.
Delta Shadow, that's another one they've done, which is incredible. There's a Spectrum Next version of that. Mighty Final Fight, you played that?
No.
You never played Mighty Final Fight?
No, I've not played the Spectrum. To be honest, a lot of the homebrew stuff on the Spectrum stuff, I just don't. There's so many games to play in this world that I haven't really looked at the Spectrum stuff. Some of the ones you mentioned there I played.
Okay.
So awesome. Yeah, well, they clearly know what they're doing around the Spectrum. It's amazing what they've achieved, isn't it?
Yeah, it's embarrassing, to be honest. It's like, the Spectrum originally was, and they're learning on bootlegs. That's the point in getting the Spectrum wasn't officially released in Russia. It was just all, bootlegs and whatever they can
cobbled together.
There's some weird and wonderful variants that there's a few websites dedicated to showing the different systems. Like, my word, some really ugly things as well. But I'm glad they got their hands on them, because they've really proved their worth when it comes to creating Spectrum games.
Yeah, definitely. Right, okay, so we'll go on to the next game then. Okay, so for this we have a 2016 game called Dark Castle. It's a fun Spectrum platform puzzler where you play Bob, a bored farmer who decides to enter a creepy nearby castle for an adventure. And the puzzle element comes in because the castle lives up to its name, with each room being completely pitch black dark. You can't see anything apart from perhaps a ghost flickering across the place. And what Bob can do is he can light one single match, so you can see for a brief period of time where all the platforms are, and then it becomes like a memory game to try and make your way through to the exit. That's basically it. Now, of course, you can light your match at any point, so you could perhaps try and get as far as you can until you're really stuck, and then light your match, and that's really it, really. But it's done really, really well. It's got great music, and I just like the whole concept. I thought it was really, really cool. I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, it's one of these ones where if you're going to do a single screen game, you've got to get it right. Because that is a small play area to make enjoyable levels, isn't it? And therefore it's all about the level design. And it's such a clever... I thought this is a recurring concept, this whole darkness thing. There's a few games, variations on the theme, very much different games, but it's a very good horror thing, this fear of the dark, the unknown, when there is no illumination in the room. And just to have that simple thing where there's maybe a few candles in the room, but they don't really seem to reveal anything around their arc, if you want to call it
flashes
that.
Above them,
It's more just for ambience in the level rather than just being completely dark, isn't it? But It's one of these ones is where do you decide to run the risk of striking the match? Because you could retry the level as well, but that adds time onto your... You only have an hour to complete the game. So the more repeat level performances you do, then time's going to run out. You're going to have to consider your levels very carefully. So yeah, there's times where you can initially press the match and go, right, I don't need it at the beginning. But that you're going to waste retries too many times. So I think you've got to just try fumbling about in the dark as much as you can to figure it out what you can. Try to visualise it in your mind what it's like. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to use that map at some point, the match at some point. And yeah, don't always rush using it at the beginning, because I find the second half, if you want, after the match is extinguished, gets a lot harder again. But it's like a great concept for a platform game, just to get that little guy to the exit, and how tough it can actually be. You're convinced, and it's a good memory game, because you are convinced in your mind's eye that's where that bloody platform is, right? So you go there and you jump and you just fall down. It's like, shit, it's not there. And then I cheated, Paul.
Ah.
I had little pieces of blue tack and started sticking it on the monitor.
That's cunning. See, that was me trying to use the candles as a reference. Okay, it's to the right of there, but you're right. It's so yeah. I'm kind of wishing I didn't hit. I kind of wishing perhaps I've hit the print screen. Have it on your second monitor.
That's a good idea. Yeah. It's very clever that way. I mean,
no, I did play it properly, but it's you do end up with a lot of retakes if you're not careful.
Yeah, and of course the other ghosts, depends on the colour of the ghosts. Some will increase your your time by seconds. Some others increase it by minutes. And there's fixed ones that affect your lives and that. So it's very simple. But that's the charm about this game, isn't it? You can't overcomplicate it. But the key, yet again, is in the level design. I must admit, sometimes I feel when you're at the edge of a platform, even when it's illuminated and you try jump and you press right first, it's very easy to fall off the edge. You know, it's not a complete 100% tight engine. But once you get used to that, you accept it and you play it for what it is.
Yeah, no, I really like this. I thought it was a really clever idea, and just it's not one of the. I mean, considering there were so many amazing games, this Halloween special, is probably sort of like near the bottom of the list. But I still had so much fun playing.
Oh, it's great fun. It's certainly one to play with the family, isn't it? I mean, all the games here are they can really play with the family. And there's maybe one that's a bit darker that we'll cover later on, but this has got a real comic charm to it, but just visually, when the lights are on, very colourful.
Okay, so we should go on to the next And this is actually very, very similar in concept, really, but taking a different slant with it. It is Yumiko in the Haunted Mansion. Now, this is very, very similar. It's more like a overhead sort of 3D, 3D styling, where it sort of gives that 3D effect. And you're wandering around in the dark in this 2012 homebrew game. And the idea is you just simply have to light all the candles, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it sounds simple enough. You can press the M button to bring up the map, and then you sort of like dash round to light up the candles. But I still found it, as simple as it is, I still found it really, really quite charmful. Even though it's quite dark, if you're too slow, then it tells you you've been like pulled in. You see the main girl get pulled into hell, and you're told eternal damnation. Yeah. Blimey neck, that's a bit dark. Yeah. I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I thought it was really atmospheric. I love I'm not a manga fan by any means, but I do appreciate on this they've tried to capture the essence of the manga art style in the game, which is really good. I love the idea how you do have the radius of how much illumination from our candle is round, and if you bump into the ghosts, that reduces even shorter as well. But there's other candles to be found and matches to be found within the labyrinth. But what you have to constantly do in this, because you will bump into walls, you go, right, where is the way to go? If you press M for your map, then you'll see an overarching map, won't you, cover it like in a zoomed out fashion, and you go, right, okay, you'll see, there's a dozen candles that need to be lit. But that doesn't make the maze itself that much easier. You just know which direction you need to go. But I just love the minimalistic style of this, where
it's very clever with the colour palette, isn't it? How
yes.
it sort of shows it lit up. And yeah, sorry, you were saying,
Yeah, I just love how if you are against a solid wall, the radius of your candle stops glowing, so you're having to basically slide up a wall, feeling it's like looking for the light switch when you're coming home half pissed from the pub, isn't it? And it's like sliding along the wall, where is it? And yes, the game, this is all the game is. It is a bit of a one-trick pony, but so was the game before it with this as well. But how it does it is how it's that's what makes it clever. Just great animations, everything from the subtle flashing of lightning to
particularly when you see the ghosts nearby.
The ghosts, you get like ooh, and I love the animation of the ghosts, very much like, I suppose, Pac-Mania.
Yeah.
Ghosts, just like the 3D rendition of the Pac-Man ones. I like how you can, rather than having to go back and play other levels again, for each completion of each level, you get a password as well, which is pretty decent. I think that's kind of like modern concessions in games. Some games in the past had that, mind you, I suppose, but nobody wants to go back and do a level they've already previously done, do they? You get a bit bored if that's the case. That's not the challenge in this game. It's just about, you've done well in level 1, how well will you do in level 2? Right, you've done well in that. How about level 5 now? How well? Because it gets more and more vast, a lot more candles to be lit. But I just love minimalistic games like this. I think it's all done with suggestions and subtleties, and it delivers that really well.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very clever how they did it. I mean, it does get a little bit samey, that's the only thing I will say. Yeah. You just kind of wish there was a few more tricks up its sleeve, some things to mix it up a little. For sure. I would have, going back with our original idea of what would I think if young Drisky was playing this, it would have blown my mind, like all of these, really. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, I wouldn't have appreciated the colours because I would have had a black and white monitor back in the day, right? But maybe that would have made it more atmospheric. It'd be interesting to try that, because you can do that on the emulator. And just
it probably is, actually, because, it probably would have looked quite good. But no, I'm glad it's got the colour. But and I love the fact that little when she jumps up and down in excitement when you finally beat the level. It's really, really cute.
Charming, isn't it? Yeah.
And another one, great music as well, isn't it?
Oh, most of these games have incredible music on them. If the ability to use AY music's on them, it doesn't. That doesn't mean it doesn't work in the 48K. It'll all load on both. You just won't get the music as well.
Right. Okay. So you go on to the next game.
Yeah.
And this is classic after classic. This is one of your suggestions. I'm so glad you included it. It is Metamorphasis, released in May 2021. This completely confused me at the beginning. So before we go into it, I'm going to pass it to you, Kiggy, because you got your head around this a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. Right. This is an evolutionary tale suggesting that man came from the primordial junk of hell, right? So it's a game of ascension where you start off as a lowly being, very much a xenomorph looking creature, the xenomorph from Aliens, and it's a kind of dog-eat-dog game where you have to kill your brethren, and the more you spit black tar on their face, and depends on where they are on the evolutionary scale. So the more you climb up from hell on the different levels, they're more man-like, okay? Some of them have got man's heads on bipod legs, quite creepy. It looks like It looks like the boy's bedroom, you know, the tormenting boy on Toy Story 1 that makes these bastard creations from his sister's toys, yeah? They look as demonic as that. And when you spit the black tar on their faces, depends on which stage they are, they'll devolve to the next stage lower than them. So you have to keep battling them till they turn into little hairy worms. And then you eat them, therefore you can evolve by eating their essence, you see. Right, that's the whole concept of the game. But to move up each stage, that each section or segment has 3 discs that you need to find, and these are all scattered about the level, and you have to also go into what essentially is battle arenas as well, where there could be single screen with 6 enemies running about trying to spit black tar on you, and you battle them. But it looks like nothing else, this game. It's grotesque, it's quite disturbing, the look of the creatures that you're evolving into. Man is the most scariest, obviously. But I just loved how each of the game's divided in this interconnected platform levels. Each sub-level is isolated from the other until these 3 discs are collected. So it's very clever, and I've always enjoyed this. I mean, I get absorbed in this. It's a bit more a serious game, isn't it? It's not a kind of tongue-in-cheek one. It is quite I'm not saying it's a Lovecraftian feel, but it's some twisted...
Definitely HR Giga.
A Giga's in there, yeah, for sure, absolutely. You know, it's a very twisted perception of hell. I just love the way when you do eat the worms, the way it stands over them and is devouring them. It's just great animations as well.
Yeah.
What did you make of the game once you got the hang of it?
Yeah, once I got the hang of it. I mean, even when I hadn't got the hang of it, I was impressed with it because it looks really, really visually stunning. But as I say, just to begin with, it was just frustrating because, I'd worked out early on, you can eat the worm. And then I worked out you could spit things. But because they don't die immediately...
you got no visual cue that was doing any effect,
Yeah, so for the longest time I was like, okay, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do with this, like spitting the things and then they're getting you, and it was frustrating. But I mean, it's still rock hard, even if you understand what the hell, as you've described it there. But it's a lot of fun. It's just clever visual design. Everything has that sort of shadowy of the characters, a bit like Limbo. Yeah. Again, brilliant use of the colour palette of the Spectrum and the detail of the Spectrum. You've got those like spitting babies' heads and some of the creatures. And as you say, watching the characters evolve down is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very impressed with this one. I thought.
Good. I think that the difficult bit is when you were first spitting on them, that the areas where you're battling, ignoring the battle arenas, it's more clear what you need to do in them. But you don't get to them until you start, spitting and eating, so to speak. So the rooms you visit, they're very tight. There's a lot of platforming elements, and different heights. So it's accurately making sure that your black tarry spit hits its target is a challenge in its own right.
It is,
but a good way to do this in this game is there's skulls that drip black tar from their mouths down the way. If the bad guys go under them, if you battle them and push them towards that, these drips also kill them or devolve them. So it's a good method or a good tactic to just let them kill themselves, basically.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I need to... this is definitely one that I wanted to spend a bit more time with. It's just a very clever game, isn't it? And visually... And I can't believe... Because I just assumed, it's just the 3 discs, but it's not, is it? It's like multiple sections, as you say, where you're sort of collecting these discs. And you've got that evolution of how your character is changing as you progress, which... very, very clever, surreal, and entertaining game. Probably not one for the younger kids, though. It's got even with the Spectrum simplistic graphics, it's quite macabre.
It is very much macabre in that way. It's and that's what I like about it. It sucks you into that mood,
and just. It's quite impressive. No, I was just going to say, and this is one where you can pay what you want on itch.io to buy it officially, and I do like the box art that I've seen for physical release.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it's most of these games, not more recent ones anyway, rather than the ones going back a few years, they've all came out in some kind of physical format, and the production values in these are not just a simple plastic case, and the art, they really like to present a product for you. You're paying a lot of money for it, so they want to give you the best product available, and it really shines.
Yeah, no, it's I can see why people do sort of like collect them. It's nice to continue extending your Spectrum lineup of games, and particularly when they're. I mean, that's what's so nice to see actually, just with all of these homebrew games, and I'm sure there are plenty of shovelware and things like that, but the majority, certainly the ones that we're discussing here, these are all top quality, blood, sweat, and tears. Incredible effort that people are putting into these games. They're not just, let me just knock something together and I'll make a bit of cash, fueling off the nostalgia. These are people genuinely caring about what they're producing.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chat with, because this was another one that was awarded a Crash Smash. So the author Leonardo Vittori, who's in Italy, FaceTimed me to thank me and for the review, and chatted all about the making of the game. It was a very fascinating conversation with him.
Oh, cool. Was there any particular highlights of what you chatted about, or are you saving it for a future interview in Crash?
No, not at all. I mean, he just wanted to create this real dark feel. There was that many games he was playing that were quite light-hearted, and he just wanted to get that suffocating hellish feel to the game. And I'm trying to remember now, it was a while back since I spoke to him. And it was more, to be honest, he was more obsessed that he used to be a waiter at Glen Eagles golf course. He was wanting to speak to me more about Scotland and making the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
But no, he had such fun making it, and he was just delighted that it was received really well, and deservedly so.
Deservedly.
It's a very unique product that, a bit like Bruxólico, this stands out as it dances to the beat of its own drum. It's not copying genres that we're used to. I mean, it's still a platform action fighting thing, but it doesn't have the kind of tropes that we're kind of used to. You see so many other times that people 1,000 times have tried to copy Jet Set Willy, haven't they? Or there's nothing like this in this.
This is more a Denton design game, isn't it? Where they.
Good point.
Yeah.
I like your thinking. Yes, that's where
absolutely. You've just got talented people doing what they want. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, awesome game. Really relaxed. Any more you want to say about this one?
No.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next game then. And this is a really interesting port, really, of an old Konami game that came out on the MSX. So it's one that we never really got to see. It never came out in the arcades or anything, this Konami game. And it's called King's Valley. This port came out in 2009. As I say, the original MSX game was 1985. But this is a really stunning port of that game, or improvement, I think, of that game. So, I mean, just to explain it to our listeners, how do you describe it? You're basically running around collecting treasure, isn't it, from marauding mummies. And you collect the treasure, you pick up weapons to perhaps take them out, some digging as well. And just very clever game, beautiful use of the colour palette. Another lot of fun with this one. I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, it harks back to that old style arcade game where, what it remembered me of is when I first played games like Gilligan's Gold, the Ocean's Bagman bootleg rip-off, that kind of vibe of just not officially getting the rights to create a an arcade port, but doing it anyway. But for Konami to release this just on MSX rather than arcade, because it's an arcade-worthy game. Why it didn't come out in arcades is beyond me, but it's a superb MSX title anyway. But to see this on the Spectrum, and it's out in the Commodore 64 as well, just as a side note, it's delightful. And it starts off as a single-screen game where you see all the platforms and stairs. It's rather than calling it a ladders and levels game, it's a staircase and levels game if you want. But I just love the animations in this, the way the mummies with their, the cliche with their arms sticking out with the rigor mortis chasing towards you.
Oh, it's so cute, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a space panic element where you can dig the platforms, but there's more to it than that. You do have to use the digging to access some of the gems that you want to pick up in the pyramid that you're currently in. But each level just gets progressively harder, doesn't it? And it's like, my God, this is getting tougher and tougher. But I love how if you're carrying the knife, it's the same button as jump, which is a pain in the ass.
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah, you got to done with a different button.
Yeah, it's like, oh my, so you want to jump over a little obstacle in your way, but the mummies are getting close to you, but they're not in stabbing distance. So you lob the knife over the mound. Right, shit, now will I make it in time jumping over to get the bloody knife back to yug the mummies? But I love games like this. I've always loved a good, arcade platform game like this, and it really works well. It delivers a charming and delightful and very, very enjoyable adventure.
Yeah, I mean, because was this new to you? Because I'd never even heard of it on the MSX.
No, but I did go back and play it on the MSX after the fact.
And how did it compare?
It's worthy. It feels a bit different.
Yeah.
But it's as close as, to be honest. That if you didn't know it and you didn't play it, you wouldn't care, if you know what I mean, right? That the experience is still the same.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I'm curious, actually, because obviously it's got great characterization of all the creatures. Like, the main character's so lovable, isn't it? As he waddles around and you say the mummies. Yeah. How did that compare with the C64 version?
There's no colour clash, and therefore you can get a bit colour to it. So they're slightly bigger as well. The Commodore version is fantastic as well. To be honest, I would probably argue in this instance the Commodore version is better because it's a lot more closer to the MSX. But is it enough to say this is a poor man's relation to it? Not really, no.
Oh no, it looks stunning. I mean, I was really, really impressed. But I'm curious to try the C64 version.
I do that,
yeah, and the MSX version. It's good that you had a chance to.
Yeah, I do love delving into the realms of the MSX. To be honest, I think there's a good number of hidden gems there, exclusive titles that only came out, and that is worthy of a journey of discovery episode for ourselves at some point.
Yeah, we ought to do one because it's one that I've dipped in now and again, and there are, you're right, amazing games. It's just having the time, isn't it? Good idea. Right, okay, should we go on to the next game then? Getting through these, which is good. And this one is Terralandia. It's another Spanish game released in 2014. And here you go to the country of Terralandia. You have to collect up 25 crosses and jump on vampires to kill them, which took me a while until I read I had to translate the instructions from Spanish to understand, because
English version.
Because I didn't know what was going on. And you pick up magic cauldrons, which there's witches or brujas, to use the Spanish terms, that are blocking your way, and you have to give them cauldrons to allow you to pass. So the cauldrons are like keys.
Is that what they were? I was just not sure all the way through it. They looked like a half heart.
Oh, I knew it was a cauldron. They were quite detailed. It was quite good.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well done you. You get a gold star.
Good,
Star
good,
pupil.
good. Now, this one I enjoyed. I mean, it was one of the ones that right off the bat I could get quite far in. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. I love the little skeleton doing its little dance as like enemy. The characterization's really good. I was a little bit confused until I read it why I was killing the vampires so easily, because you can't do it with the other ones. You know, I realised you had to pick up the crosses, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a really charmful platformer, this.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good.
It does what it says on the tin and doesn't really deliver any real surprises. And I suppose I'm used to, there's many games that have came out recently that just look and feel play like this. Everyone makes these kind of platformers. But that doesn't mean to say they don't have charm, you know what I mean? I get why people do make them, because the engines that they're using to make them, that's kind of their native ability right out the box, if you see what I mean, without doing anything fancy. I mean, there's one, what's it called? Ramiro the Vampire. It just plays exactly like this. You know, it just came out recent. In fact, Ramiro the Vampire 2 has just came out as well. So, you know, there's loads of these spooky vampire type horror games, but the trick of it is how well they do their level design, and does it capture you to continue playing. And that's where I think this one does. That the zones are clearly different, and the way the platforming mechanic is then, and how you handle the level varies just depending. Yeah, similar things. You're picking up the crosses, kill the vampire, hand the cauldron over to the witch. That's still there, but there's some, more labyrinthian type platforming rather than just big open, large screen platforming where there's not a lot of platforms. So it's really good in that way. I enjoy it, but it always bodes a question, and that's the main Van Helsing type person you're controlling, right? One, it's nighttime, so I don't know why you need shades on.
Because it's cool, Kingy, it's cool.
But why doesn't he have any trousers or underpants on? It's scaring me.
Well, that's it. That's how you scare the vampires.
That's the cross isn't doing the damage. He's teabagging them, and that's what's really. He's garlic teabagging them.
I do like the little character. It reminds me very much of sort of like the. A lot of the cartoon design is, I don't know, it just feels like the Jack the Nipper and those sort of things, isn't it? It's quite cute.
Yeah, it's got that kind of charm, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just enjoyed this one. It's you're right, it's not anything special. I mean, not very good at telling from whether it's using a game engine X or Y. But as a game, I just found it a lot of fun to play, and that's a lot to do with the level design and just. Yeah, it's more of a chill game.
This engine, you've probably seen a lot of their games because we've played a lot of them on this. Is the Mojon twins? Yes, yeah. This is their engine, the MG engine, MD engine. Sorry. So, and it's a very good engine. Don't get me wrong. It's allowing people to release games, so we can't take that away from it. You know what I mean? But the proof of things is when people delve in deeper, like I said earlier, and try to code a bit differently on the engine rather than just using its cookie cutter design, and you'll come out with some things a bit more original. This in the sea of plenty. If you played all the games I have over the last number of years for the Spectrum, you'll realise that this, although good, you're talking a kind of 70%er here, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, and I think I would agree with the 70%er. I wouldn't say it's a crash smash or anything like that. No, it's just a fun, solid bit of fun. Yeah. Yeah,
that's exactly that.
Yeah. Sorry, you were going to say no.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to say but. Talk about but.
But yeah.
For me, I'll probably get another 5% extra for those little dancing skeleton. I'm easily pleased, Kingy.
5% off for running about with no underpants on.
Oh, that's another 5% extra for me. Right, okay, so we go on to the next one then. Mm-hmm. I think with that one you can actually play for free as well, isn't it?
That's free, yeah.
So that's nice to see. Okay, so the next one, I love the title. It's called Maritini Freelance Monster Slayer. And this is one by the Modron twins that you mentioned, and it came out in 2012. And Maritini is she's an out-of-work actress that isn't at all Sarah Michelle Gellar, but she was part of the hit TV show Monster Slayer, and she's called to rescue the daughter of her former boss, Paul Duran. It's all a bit suspicious, but she needs to work, and so she goes on the quest. What you have here basically is a really good Gauntlet clone, isn't it?
Yep.
Essentially, it's sort of overhead. You got the monsters. There's oil barrels that you take out as the things that spawn the monsters.
Yeah, it's the generators for the monsters. Yeah,
And just run around and shoot. It's a lot of fun. I quite enjoyed this one. I mean, what was your thought of this one?
well, it's better than the Spectrum's version of Gauntlet, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's incredible with it. The colours, the graphics, the speed that it runs at, the scrolling. And the levels are pretty bloody large, by the way. And you do get lost, thankfully, because if you've destroyed the oil barrels that spawn them, at least you know if you've wandered back into areas you've already been on, nothing's there. So I've been here, better go back the way. But it's great because you just have to go about, killing all the baddies, finding the keys for the locked off areas and getting out the exit.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, but it's highly enjoyable in doing it. I think the layouts of each of the levels is really good. You know, it isn't clearly obvious what route to take. You don't want to know what way to go immediately, or you just complete the levels far too rapidly. You know, you're spending a considerable amount of time in each and every one of the levels, and I think it's fantastic. I really do.
It is, and it really gets quite stressful. The watching your energy deplete, isn't it? Because that will be the death. And just like with Gauntlet, you like, oh, good, there's some food. Yeah, I've always liked that mechanic of Gauntlet, where there is that, take out the generators basically to stop the continual swathe of monsters, and they really do like with Gauntlet. They throw a lot of monsters at you. I really like this because I'm like you. I really like the Gauntlet in the home probably more than the arcade actually, and this was just a really good version. You say better than the what we got back in the day on the Spectrum, really.
I think so.
So
there's 22 levels on this game, and to be honest, it does change. You know, I always fear that you've played level 1 and level 2 and the assets all look the same, but that's because it's in different stages. So you do have the forest stage, then it goes to lullaby stage, which is a school-like complex nursery thing, and then obviously too much to cure like things here is love cats, a secret entrance into a weird installation going on, and close to me says all cure references to the stages.
I really liked, and it is nice that it gives that variety, isn't it? Otherwise you'd quickly sort of like tire. Each one does feel a lot different. I mean, maybe there's not the same variety in the monsters, but yeah, certainly in the background layout I thought it was really, really good. And you say if you love your Gauntlet, you'll get a real kick out of this. I think that's basically all to say with it. And this is another one that I think you can just pick up, isn't it? It's sort of like available.
Yeah, for the grand total of sweet FA.
Yeah. So that's really,
unless
really
you want to contribute, but it's great. I mean, you can either go to Spectrum Computing to get these, or even itch.io as well. So I love how itch.io is not just specific for modern games being written for modern systems. It is basically anything can be released there, and it's a great hub for creativity.
Yeah, no, there's some amazing games on there, but it's kind of useful, like when we do shows like this, or other people do shows like this, because one of the problems I find with itch.io is there's so much great stuff out on there that
good luck
finding it. Yeah, so you sort of need people to sort of tell you. Anyway, shall we go on to the next game? Okay, and this was another one of your suggestions. It's quite a recent one. It came out in 2022 by Javier Fopiani, and it is Nosy is the name. I'll give you what it says on the writing on the blurb of the box. Nosy is a boy who lives in a religious orphanage. He has a special talented gift. He can move between two worlds, the real world and hell. A tragic death causes that a powerful demon catches the souls of the boys living there. So pretty dark here. Nosy's friends call him that way because he was a curious and gossip boy. Go through the gloomy orphanage full of spirits to catch, and look for yellow bones, which will give you clues to get the objects needed to beat the final demon. If you get the wrong objects, you will lose the game. Remember to look at the moon side. Obviously it's a translation, but that's exactly what it says on the
It's
box.
done well, the translation,
Yeah. This is only for €2 on itch.io, or pay what you want, isn't it, if you want to pay a little more. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to hand it to you because I'm intrigued to know what you think of this game.
I mean, I absolutely love Nosy. Now, its origins began with what we played here now, and the one we're suggesting for the listeners to play is the 128k version.
Yeah.
It is a revisited version. He originally wrote it for the 48k, and it isn't as accomplished. Still fantastic, but it begins in the orphanage, and straight away you're pretty much just searching for the lost souls of your brethren in the orphanage, you know, because the demons have taken them to hell. And as what the blurb says, Nosy has this unique ability to jump between the realms. And that's really clever that way, because you know the games like, I'm trying to think, Soul Reaver, like brilliant game where you can jump between the planes of existence and some things slightly change. This is exactly what this game does as well. So you do have to jump between them. Sometimes there's devils and demons that have spilled onto our world, but you can escape them then by morphing into the hell realm, or other things appear as well. But anyway, going back, the author revisited this game, and it starts a lot more complex now, where Nosy's dead sister, his deceased sister, you know, tries to... The demons have basically all appeared in the orphanage. So the tale is now taking place as it's happening, with hellfire burning everywhere. And Nosy hasn't realised his ability, and he's already in the realm of hell, in the plane of existence. And his sister helps him through it, and he has to escape from hell, or the orphanage anyway, remembering his devout prayers. Now, it's quite clever. The prayers are all in Latin, and these are paths that you walk along. They're written there on the screen, so it's almost like a metaphor for him doing his prayers, and you're walking along them, and the minute you do that, the demons stop running towards you and walk back to their origin point, and you have to time it well enough to escape the orphanage. So once you get out and back into the realm of the living, the idea is simple as to find your crucifix, to get back inside the orphanage, start battling all the demons, sometimes jumping, depends on which plane of existence you need to jump through, but the key is, when it jumps to hell, you can only jump in there for 6 seconds, right? So when you've got to do what you've got to do, you've only got 6 seconds to do it, and then it goes back to the realm of the living again, and it slowly counts back up to 6 before you can jump back into that. So there's things to solve, places to visit, secrets, you know, secret locations you have to figure out how to get to solve this game and rescue all the lost souls of the orphans from the orphanage. And I think it's an absolute tremendous game, and yet again, I like Metamorphosis and that. It's very unique and has its own style, and I love all the cutscenes in the game. And you know, yes, it's all done with religious overtones and stuff, like things like perhaps you and I would be like, yeah, whatever, you know, but it's like watching Exorcist the movie or something, you know. It's kind of got that kind of vibe to it, but I think it's really fantastic.
Yeah, I wish I knew what you told me there, that I hadn't fully twigged that the prayers walking on the prayers actually protects you.
Yeah.
That was it's a clear thing that would have been very useful to know.
So Paul did not get far in this game,
I did not get
folks.
far in this game. It was the last game that I covered of all these games that we went through, because it was quite a last minute inclusion, wasn't it? That you said, oh, let's add this one, because some of them, quite rightly, we didn't. When we played the ones on the original list, we thought, nah, it's not good enough for our 13, and we went for this, and I was impressed with it. But my God, it's without knowing some of the key information like that you've just described.
You're not getting out the orphanage in the first place for them.
And I just kept dying because they move so fast, those damn demons.
But the minute it's staying on the righteous path, that's what it's a metaphor for, you see. So you walk along the lines of Latin and the demons just don't pursue you because you have faith.
Yeah, that's dead clever, that, isn't it?
It is dead clever. It is for us simpletons. I do love though when you're jumping between the different. So it's in the dead of night when this is all happening, just moonlight. So most of the colours are blue and cyan and just dark hush colours. But the minute then you morph into hell, keep saying morph, but transport into hell or slip through that veil of existence, everything goes fiery red. It's a fantastic colour change in the game, and I just love the subtle touches like that. And it's not an action game per se. It has got action moments, but it's exploration, it's understanding what you have to do, where you have to go, and I just love it. I really, really love this game.
Yeah, no, I can see why. I mean, I just needed to spend more time with it. But, watching... to be honest, this is one that I've, after dying a lot of times and thinking... Not hating it, because I could see it was a good game, but finding it frustrating. Watching videos of people that understand what they were doing. It's got loads of really clever ideas once you get into that. Switching between... hell state, and this is like the Stranger Things games that
it is in a way. I suppose it is, you're right. And I mean, there's other characters you interact with. There's a pious priest that won't let go of his cross, and you're looking for a cross, so you get an option to take his cross. But if you take that one, you're damned for eternity bearing that cross. It's not your cross, it's a cursed priest. So this game over the minute you've done it. It's like, shit, I've just buggered up the game. So anyway, you have been warned. Yeah,
it's a good thing to warn you on. No, it's clever. It's lots of ideas, and this is, as I say, someone doing to their own beat of the drum. It's got quite grotesque. Not. I don't know. Sort of just the ideas, isn't it? You like hung little orphan boys.
Well, there's suicide. There's suicide of twins that hung themselves from separate trees in the game, and it's very macabre in that way. It's dark. It's not a cheery game by any means, and that's what I really like about it. It's not just playing the usual, tongue-in-cheek spooky horror kiddie version of Halloween. This is a dark tale.
It definitely is a dark tale.
With really dark cutscenes that are incredibly drawn, well pixelated, and beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you included this one. It's one that I definitely want to spend more time with. I just, I say the mistake was, I think coming to this last when I was running out of time, because it's one that you really need to sort of put a good couple of hours in to really get your head around it all, isn't it?
Well, I can sit and play this, and played this with the lights out and a nice glass of whiskey, and just got into the ambience of the game. The music's good in it. The overall, it oozes atmosphere. Very few games oozed this kind of atmosphere on the Spectrum, you know what I mean? And playing it in the wee hours of the morning. If I was playing this as a kid, I'd be shitting myself.
Yeah, because it's very, as I say, very clever use of atmosphere and colour. It is that kind of limbo, sort of like very simplistic artwork, but done in such a way that really accentuates the atmosphere, doesn't it? Yeah, no, great one. Definitely cool. Huge recommend for people. Right, okay, so shall we go on to the next game? Is this our final game? No, it's not our final game, is it? We've still got a few. And this is Invasion of the Zombie Monsters. Yeah, we're up to the 11th hour now. And this is a fab 2010 game on the Spectrum. It also came out on the Amstrad and MSX, which I'm curious to give this a go. And yeah, I mean, so basically, you're Ned and your girlfriend Linda. You know, you have a fantastic date and enjoying life, and suddenly, you know, thunderbolt hits, and suddenly you're sort of your girlfriend's taken, and you're sort of like searching for your girlfriend. It's one that's been said numerous times, isn't it? But my word, this one, I don't know, I just love the art style. It's kind of I want to say kind of like Ghosts and Goblins type game, isn't it?
This is a ghost. First of all, you have the overworld map. It shows you which stage you're on, right? But the guy looks like he's just came from Zombie Ate My Neighbours.
Yeah. And it's really good. I mean, you've got a nice variety of enemies. It all feels nice and fluid. I like the sort of jump mechanics. This is the sort of games that you dreamed of having on the Spectrum back in the day. This just plays brilliantly. I mean, this plays as good as any arcade game back in the day. It's got nice restart points, which you're very thankful of. And you can
when you get to them,
it's rock hard, but equally it's not unfair.
No,
it's one of those like Ghosts and Goblins. Like Ghosts and Goblins, you learn as you progress and you get better as you play through. Yeah, so I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away with the whole Ghosts and Goblins vibe. Now, I liked the Spectrum version of Ghosts and Goblins when it came out. I thought it was an admirable rendition of the arcade game, to be honest. Imagine if they used this engine to make it with all the colours, right? Because this is gorgeously coloured. It really is incredible.
And speed, everything is so fluid. The amount of bullets that you're firing and things like that is just very impressive.
And it does have pros and con things. You know, when it's like, shit, I've picked up the torch. This one where you can have a plus or minus thing that reduces the size of or the progression of your fireball that you've got that you shoot towards them, so you don't want to pick it up on the negative side, which is, you know, a little tip of the hat to Ghosts and Goblins. And maybe you've got the man-eating plant that shoots at you. You've got almost the thing that looks like the flying pigs a little bit, you know, and the zombies and that come out the ground. So it's really, you know what you're playing here. Let's be frankly honest about it. But it makes you smile because of that. And the levels are varied. The different acts, the different graphical layouts to the world you're in, whether it's be the crypt or the sort of foresty level. It's really good and brilliant, really brilliant boss fights at the end of each level as well. Really good fun. That first boss is great fun to fight because you stay at the far left hand side and he tries to reach out and pat your head, but you're crouching down and he can't get to you.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It's really good. I had a lot of fun playing this one, Paul.
Yeah, so this was new to you as well, was it?
Yeah, this one's new to me. Yeah.
Oh, this one. I mean, can you imagine if this came out back in the day? Isn't it? It just sort of. I mean, it does make you wonder what it is about. What is it that people are able to produce stuff like this now over what they were back in the day?
Because routines have came out that they know to. I mean, I've tried to understand reading the technical marvels of the amount of colour they can get without the colour clash happening now and whatnot. And there's a downside to that. There is a latency in it processing that. And even though the game is still fluid, you do feel that kind of pause response after you've pressed the control. And I find that in a lot of the very highly coloured games these days. But that's not to make light of the technical achievement that they've managed to do. And a lot of these engines that they're using, whether it be AGD or the Mojon Twins engine, or there's a few others that people use, that are clever things. Especially if people, as I keep insisting, don't just come out with the bog standard out the box. I'm just going to make great for your first line experience. Of course you do. You're not going to go do anything advanced. But as time goes on, when you get more to grips with these engines, you do expect better things from people, and these people have been proving this.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, and you think, this is quite a few years old now, isn't it? This one is this was 2010. Yeah. So
brilliant,
amazing,
absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, what a lineup! Now I'm going to have so much fun playing through all of these for Halloween, and hopefully, to our listeners, also enjoy some of these as well. Right, okay, so shall we go on to our penultimate game?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Tenabra Macarbre, 2003 games, and it's another one by the Mojang twins. And amazingly, apparently they made this in a single day for Halloween. And the idea is Mega Megan has been locked up in a dark crypt by Juju Franto Marante, and the only way out is by activating magic candles in each room. So basically this also features a very, very similar idea to that dark castle idea. It's you have a completely dark level, but you can light up, if you light up the magic candle, it lights up the whole room. So that's really the purpose of the game, is to work your way through. But my word, isn't it atmospheric? Not only does it look wonderful, but that lightning effect, just briefly flashing the room to light around you. Yeah, I just thought was so effective, and I thought really atmospheric. Yeah, I really like this one, and cute character designs and monsters. I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you are prone to photosensitivity, if you have epilepsy or something like that, and you are prone to flashing lights, don't play this game. But it's such a nice touch, isn't it? I mean, yes, you have yet again a slight luminescence around you, just so you can see what's at your proximity. But that lightning flash, it just highlights the room for you to let you, just momentarily to give you that subtlety of, that's where the candle is, you need to get up there to light it, and then that room stays permanently. I think that's a brilliant touch. It's a very addictive platform game, this one, Paul. I think the graphics are superb in it. The design in each of the screens is fantastic. Very challenging, but not overly difficult. You know you can do it. And I just love playing this. I really do.
So this was another one new to you as well?
No. This was reviewed for Crash a while back, so this is... a game I'm very familiar with.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I'm trying to work out, when did this come out then? 2013 apparently originally. So
but on the annuals you see.
Oh, you cover retro stuff, or
the annuals. Yeah. Previous to the magazine coming out, the annuals covered games that came out retrospectively. Yeah.
Ah, no, awesome. No, this is a really, really good one. I don't know what else you can say. It's just a really polished, well done, atmospheric platformer.
Yeah, you'll see the similarity then, like I was saying, in the Mojang Twins engine, between that and the Terralandia type feel. You know what I mean? It's similar, but they've created two very different games from that engine that feel completely different, don't they? So, and this is a far stronger game.
Oh yeah, they clearly know what they're doing, and it's just it's so addictive finding each of those candles, and that, of course, is the purpose of the game, is to find the candles.
Did you find 4 candles?
16.
4 candles.
Yeah, I know 4 candles. The 2 Ronnies. Yeah. Awesome. Right, okay, so shall we go on to our final game then? Okay, so for this one, it was another late entry to our selection, but it is Dark the Lost Pages, or I guess you could. There's also Dark Redux, which takes one element of this, but we'll talk about Dark the Lost Pages anyway. Both came out in 2021, and it's sort of a remaster of something what they did earlier. And with Lost Pages, it's basically got Tir na Nog style gameplay where you're just wandering around a maze trying to find these pages to a book.
Yeah.
But you also get, which you can play just purely on Dark Redux, 3D versions of the game. And it's amazing to see a first-person shooter effectively play out on a humble Spectrum.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, well, Zosha Entertainment have been proven time and time again of the ultimate coders rushing again, pushing the Spectrum to its extreme limits of what you didn't think was possible to do, right? This game is another example of that. Yeah, you rightfully said about the first stage of it being a turn and nog style game where you have a compass. Therefore, when you come to a cross section in the path, you can push up or down. The compass rotates, which kind of portrays that you're going in a different direction. So it's a right mapping game, and goodness sake, you can get blinking lost in this game.
Oh, it is. It's huge levels.
You have to scribble it down, but you run about with that trident and all the creatures that you come across.
Beautiful graphics. Amazing.
I mean, look at the guy's cape swaying about as you're running. The animation frames are incredible. The background, the way the moonlight is, the forest in the background, and how it scrolls so smoothly past everything. It's just, it runs like a dream. It's really incredible, and it's fun exploring. It really is, because they do subtle things to make the different areas on the map different, don't they? So you go, I've not been here, and I'm back in that bloody area again. But then you said, it incorporates the original version of the game, the first-person shooter, or first-person stabber, because you still got the trident.
You get the gun later on, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You get it later on, and that runs like a dream as well. I was like, wow, this is brilliant to see, and the graphics are of the same style, right? It's not as if you jumped into two separate engines here. They've worked hard at making this prequel fit into the world of the second, but to cram this though all onto the Spectrum, right, in one game, because whereas the original, the Dark game, was just a standalone, if you know what I mean, the first person one. So to cram all this together, I don't understand how they bloody managed that. I mean, this is, if they showed the software houses their technical prowess back then, some companies would have just folded. Well, we can't compete with this. Just say Ocean or US Gold or whoever, or doesn't matter what software it is, were the first to grab this technology, right? And normally when Ultimate released the 3D one, it must have felt like that to start off with. But then you got the copycats. This is light years ahead. I would think copycats back then, if they saw this, wouldn't have a clue even where to begin without being able to reverse engineer the game and what the hell they've done to make this work on the Spectrum. It is just visually insane, and to cram the size of two games into one game on this, I couldn't even pretend to explain how they've managed this.
I know, because this runs on real hardware. It's amazing, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. And the first person section is actually, it's running at a good pace, and it's just a lot of fun. And
I prefer the
Tir na Nog,
2D version.
Yeah. And one of the things that I thought was cool on the physical release, I noticed, they have both. So side A has the Dark Redux, which is a remaster of the original, the Dark, and on side B you have the Dark, the Lost Pages, which adds in, as I mentioned, the Tir na Nog sections. Yeah, no, I really, really liked it. I mean, it's the Tir na Nog sections visually, I probably prefer it. I did find it's a little frustrating because the map, just to find one or two of the pages, is so difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have perhaps eased you in a little bit more gently, but yeah, I can't take anything away from the game though in terms of what they've achieved technically. Yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. Any more you want to say about this before we wrap up?
I think in general, Zosha Entertainment, I will put the link to all their games on the show notes, but their games they've just stood out.
Did they do that
Head
time
above.
travel racing one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They're really quite special, aren't they? With what
Rubino
they can achieve.
Kuracha, or whatever it's called, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I thought the 16K, they decided to go back and do a 16K game. Remember I told you about this ages ago, it was the Don Quixote game? Right? Fantastic. I think it's absolutely great. Drift, which was another recent one they done. Just the talent in this team. Unfortunately, you can't buy physical things from them if you're a physical collector because of all the situation going on with Russia and that just now. But the games are available to download on Spectrum Computing World, or Spectrum, whatever you want to go and get, because they are there for free, which is amazing.
Amazing. So there you go. That's all 13 of our homebrew of horrors. I think it's a wonderful lineup. Plenty for our listeners to enjoy and play over this spooky season. And please, if you do play any of them, we'd love to hear your thoughts and what you felt with some of these. Now, I just want to ask Kingy, is there any classic Halloween themed video games that you play on the Spectrum? What's your go-tos?
Oh, it'd have to be Cauldron. Cauldron for me. I love Cauldron 1. I like that. It's great on the Spectrum. It's far better on the Commodore, but it's a great go-to game. I do love Cauldron 2 where you play the bouncing pumpkin, but that's a frustratingly hard game. I just seem to descend rather than ascend on that bloody game.
Yeah.
So that would be one. I'm trying to think what else would be a classic. I suppose the CRL Text Adventures.
The Dracula one, yeah.
Dracula, Wolfman and Frankenstein. They are incredibly written and quite addictive text adventures to play. But that's a bit more niche. Not everyone likes...
Oh, they are special though, aren't they? They're very well written.
Yeah. And of course, we covered it before as Frankenstein, the classic assemble the body parts of Frankenstein's monster. That's a great arcade-like game, isn't it?
Yeah, awesome selection. I think for me, American Werewolf in London is always one that I always go back to. I might actually try and play the Amstrad version, because I always play the Spectrum one because that's where my nostalgia lies, and I don't really like the C64 version. But yeah, I want to perhaps give the Amstrad version a proper go.
Okay.
And also Attic Attack, I think, as well.
Of course, yeah.
Really good.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So good ones. Ant Attack is another good one. There's so many classics.
Night Lore, I suppose, really. If going to include that, so many. The Monsters video game was all right.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, also Rocky Horror Picture Show was interesting.
I think the most underrated isometric 3D game ever is Nosferatu the Vampire. That is an absolute classic 3D one released by Piranha in 86, if my memory serves me well.
And one that actually was new to me at least, and when I was looking through, I thought it was Homebrew and it wasn't, is Hobgoblin. I was quite impressed with that. We had it on our list originally until we realised it actually came out in 1991. So,
by Atlantis Software,
Yeah. So I was quite impressed with that. It's another
Ghost
and Goblin clone. Yeah, really, really good. Rock hard, but fair at the same time.
Fair? I swore playing that, Paul. That made me swear.
Well, you could get a bit further each time, couldn't you?
Maybe until these bloody flying fish start appearing now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that brings the end of our 13 to dinner. But before we wrap things up, stick around because we've got another extra section for you. Because Kingy has managed to have a quick interview with King Monkey, or Darren as he's better known, who's a friend of the show. And he's doing a Kickstarter all about doing a book on those coin-ups to tabletops. You remember those fantastic tabletops of the early 80s, the late 70s, and you know, like things like Astro Wars and Caveman, and it's a fantastic part of all of our childhood. And this book, I have to say, does look absolutely fabulous. So obviously we'll keep you more abreast of what's going on with it as it proceeds, but like with all things within the retro community, we like to shout it out. So without further ado, let me pass you over to Kingy and Darren. Enjoy.
So, I've sat here with none other than King Monkey. You may remember him. He joined us way back in episode 227. He joined the guys and done the A to Z of the Mega Drive. So, King Monkey is real name Darren Brown. He works for Numbskull Designs. And, well, a very big welcome for joining me in this little chat, mate. It's good. It's been a while, not too long, because I bumped into you at Play Expo in Glasgow, didn't I? You were in a display stall showing your quarter-sized arcade cabs done by your very company you work for, so it was nice to meet you there.
Yeah, it's first time up in Glasgow for me. So, been to Edinburgh before, but that's the first. Yeah, just about. But yeah, it was a really good show as well. So it was nice to see everyone get hands-on with the machines. That was the positive that came from the show, really. It was just to see people actually getting their hands on things for the first time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's all one watching YouTube videos, reading about them and hearing the praise from other podcasts or, you know, other influencers out there on the net. But to physically see these devices, play them, how tactile they are and how well made they are, it was incredible to see them in the flesh, so to speak. And of course, all you guys at the stall were very passionate about your product and knew your product as well. So it was good dialogue to have with yourselves about them, and just see the array of them that you have now. It's an ever increasing library, isn't it?
Yeah, they do look good when they're all lined up together. I haven't got the space in my house to do that, which is a shame, because it's something that I might look to. I'm literally just we've bought a house which goes through at the end of this month, and one of my things is to try and sell some of my Super Famicom games to clear shelf space, with the aim of putting some more quarter arcades in.
Ah, good for you. So you've moved back down south now.
Coming up. Yeah, I'm back in Welling. So I've lived in London for 10 years, then ended up going to Leeds with the aim of buying a house there, but it wasn't going to work out. My wife wasn't happy with the weather. So,
you southern softies.
Yeah, she's Albanian Italian, so the sun is quite important. So yeah, whereas I'd grown up in Scunthorpe, so Leeds weather's pretty par for the course.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the weather was a killer. We had COVID at the same time, so that didn't help because she was like locked indoors.
Oh goodness!
So didn't get to see much of Leeds at the same time. And then the weather killed it. So a job came up with Numbskull, and it was the perfect timing. So yeah, just went with that. And the main thing that got me, that attracted me to the role, was looking after quarter arcades. These were the things, and at the time, so you're talking over 2 years ago, but Ninja Turtles arcade was the one that was like being batted about, but we're not allowed to say anything for ages. So
yeah,
that was the one. I was like, it was over a year before I think I saw the cab, maybe a little bit less.
Oh man!
But I was like, I'm such a massive Turtles fan that was the one that hooked me. I was like, I've got to be there for the Turtles.
How were you able to keep that a secret and not tell anyone for so long?
I think it helps because I didn't see the cab.
True.
If I'd have seen it, it would have probably been harder.
Few pints in the pub and that was it. Oh, tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone.
These things have quite a long development time. So we've got stuff pretty much now that takes us all the way through to the end of next year. So between like getting the license and then creating the product, it's quite long development cycles. So
yeah,
that was the thing with Turtles. it was mentioned, but it took quite a few months before I saw it. But then when I did see it, I was like, so impressive.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? You're alluding to the fact of the long development time. And the reason being is, well, one, there's licensing deals to go on, so there's a lot of legality behind the scenes, but the authenticity is important to yourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole point of them is that they're literally quarter scale of the originals, so they have to be accurate in every way. And that comes with loads of issues along the way, just with like various things like technology. So Space Invaders was the hardest thing that the company's ever had to do. See, I don't get involved in the creation of them, the design of them, or anything like that. I'm the marketing manager for them, so I just have to figure out ways that we can sell them and get them noticed by the press.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with all the hassle that comes with how to figure out to do what you need to do to create these things, because they're made from wood as well. Again, to keep the authenticity, but that comes with its own issues as well, because not many factories want to work in wood because it's got high failure rate. You've also got to source it. It's got various things, and they push the costs up, which that's another thing that I inherited, I suppose, when I got to Numbskull. Was we'd come from COVID, and then we'd gone into these new products, and that's why it's taken so long to get Space Invaders out. That was pitched before, they teased it before I joined, and then COVID hit, which obviously shut everything down. So factories shut down, and then when they did reopen, there were shortages. You had the Suez Canal issue, where no one could get anything through. Freight costs tripled. It was, you name it, everything happened, which is the reason why they got delayed. So Turtles and Space Invaders have taken longer than anticipated, purely because Space Invaders came with issues trying to create what we did in a quarter scale.
Jeez. Yeah,
it's crazy when you have to listen to the people who create them and what they have to go through to do them.
Yeah.
And the Space Invaders one was, a lot of the issues were around the Pepper's Ghost effect.
Right.
So that was the issue, like trying to get the mirror effect working in a quarter scale.
Wow.
With an LCD screen, which obviously doesn't reflect back in the same way as a CRT does.
Yeah.
So there's all these factors that people wouldn't normally know.
No.
Behind the scenes, they just see the delays.
Yeah, because like you said to me, the first iterations were in plastic for the casings, but the purists, you wanted to appeal to them, and therefore you did change it over to the wood at that point, didn't you? It's been an evolution of the product to get this fully authentic, or as closely authentic as you humanly can.
Yeah, plastic would have been easier, cheaper, faster. But I appreciate from fans' point of view, you're getting away from the authenticity side, where obviously these cabs were originally in wood. Who knows if it would go that route today? You just don't know, because obviously these things are, most of the arcades that we're replicating are like before the 90s. So we've got Pac-Man Space Invaders from 78, 79. In the early 80s, all the way through. But I think if you're going forwards now, would everyone do it? I'm not sure. I think they'd find cheaper ways. It's hard to know, because obviously you're talking mass manufacture, so it's very different as well, the scales that they're working to. So if you're manufacturing and you're, Sony making a PlayStation and you're selling tens of millions of units, it's very different to selling thousands of units.
Yeah, for sure. So Darren is going to be joining myself, or maybe Driskula as well, we'll see in the future, more speaking about these quartercades. Anyway, the main purpose for him being on with me today is the fact that his company, Numbskull Designs, has a Kickstarter out as we speak at the moment. Now, they're delving into the realms of books. Mad people that you are. No one reads these days, surely. But the book is From Coin-Ups to Tabletops, the essential electronic games primarily going over the fantastic tabletop VFD machines that we all played in the late 70s and early 80s. So how did this all come about, Darren, that yourselves, obviously you're more dealing in movie and video game merchandise, but this is quite something we're normally used to say bitmap books and such like. How did you come about this with Numbskull Designs releasing this?
Yeah, so this is it's a passion project, I suppose, from the marketing director Chris Hill, who's my actual line manager at work.
Okay.
And he's got a lot of these. And Matt, who's the managing director, he's also a fan of these. So the two of them got together and decided that we could do this. You know, we've got a creative team. We've got obviously we have to do product shots left, right, and centre. We've got creative people everywhere, good photographers, and it was just made sense to kind of put the two together.
Yeah.
The main thing was getting hold of the machines. So between Matt and Chris, they own a fair few, but then they had to buy some in as well. So everything that is in the book, we own. Numbskull Designs owns.
Brilliant. And
So there's nothing taken from Google Images, nothing like that. It's all original photography done, like I say, with our professional photographers. So you'll probably see some of it in the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that just now, and the shots are exceptional. They do look high end. They really sell the product. Imagine if this kind of high resolution imagery existed back in the day. They would sell these products tenfold from probably what they sold. You know what I mean? They're glorious. And to be honest, from personal collections, and obviously they'll be touched up a little bit in Photoshop and things like that, but they look immaculate. The devices on display.
Yeah,
there.
most were bought that way. So I can't say, I don't want to say for sure that they've not been photoshopped, but I think they try and left most of the marks in, where stickers were peeling or anything like that. I think they've just been left as is. It's just that a load of these, I think some of them are Japanese, in which case you probably know as well as me, like you get stuff from Japan and what they consider used looks like it's, you know, hardly been touched.
Yeah.
They keep, and I think the people that have kept these, a lot of them have been collectors because everyone else threw them out. That's what happened. Yeah, it's why they're so rare. I mean, some of the stuff that's in this book, there were really expensive things for us to get hold of. So the ones that we've had to buy in weren't cheap at all. I mean, Chris has got the Nintendo VFDs. And you're talking 500 quid upwards for each of them.
Incredible.
These are not cheap things. But again, it comes down to there's hardly any of them because everyone threw them out when the consoles came along. It's such a very small window of time that these things were alive for.
Yeah, I think from one experience, your parents chucked them up the loft and left the batteries in them, and the batteries all leaked and corroded them, you know, as well. So there's a lot of damage done that way. I mean, we owned a good few back in the day. I mean, obviously Astro Wars, Galaxy Invaders 1000, my own personal favourite BMX Flyer. Loved that game. You know, we covered this. We covered these type of games in episode 217. Garden, myself, and Drisky all chatted about memories of these. And Garden, being the age he is, has a super memory and a very good collection of these kind of things, you know. So it was great to chat with like-minded people because you don't see these getting reminisced or chatted about on social media. You know, the things we follow, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, or on Discord chats and whatnot. It's either arcade cabs or home computers, 8-bit, Amiga, 16-bit, or the consoles, you know. These are a forgotten past of gaming, which brought the arcade experience, or tried to, within the technology constraints, bring an authentic arcade feel, which was a very different thing from the home ports we had in the 8-bit period of, you know, getting a Space Invaders rip-off on the Commodore or Spectrum. These, with their the bloom that comes off the VFD display was incredible. Yeah, they were limited games, but I thought these were far superior than the LCD, say, Game & Watch equivalents. I thought these stood out incredibly. I mean, what's your experience of them from your younger years?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in what you say. I think all of them have personality. I think that's the main thing with them is they're all so different. You know, they all behave different. They all have various things. My main one is the Eye of Caveman.
Oh, fantastic game! That's still good today to play.
It is. I adored it. I got it for a £5 from it's still my best mate. I still see him. He came to my wedding. But he lived halfway up my street, and he goes, he just asked if I wanted to buy it one day, £5. And that was it. And I had the AC adapter, so obviously that was the other thing. These things chug batteries, didn't they?
Yeah, indeed.
So I had one of those AC adapters, you know, with the 4 different ends.
Oh, yeah.
I had that, so I just used to sit and play with it, especially when I was waiting for Specky games to load.
Yeah.
But then you'd end up getting involved in Caveman because the game's fairly addictive, even though it's simple gameplay.
Yeah. It
does get addictive trying to get the score. And that's, it's the same for most of them. The others, I'd only really see on Toy Days. Mm-hmm. So Hook Monster, which you've seen in the is in the book. That was definitely Munchman and Puck Monster were the two that you saw quite a lot of. The Tommy turning dashboard. One of my friends from school had that, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, "This is amazing!" I always wanted one. You could see how noisy it is. That parents must have regretted ever buying that. So that was another one that stood out for me. I didn't see many of the little joystick ones, like the Astro Wars, the Firefoxes.
Oh, you've missed out on good ones with them.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing. Obviously I know of them, and same with Scramble. I know of them, but never really. I don't recall ever seeing them, getting to play on them. So it's always Munchman, and as I say, my Caveman was my main experience of him.
Oh, superb. So back to the book then. So how did Mike Diver then get involved after this concept was, born then? How did they get in touch with him, or how did it go about?
So myself and Chris know Mike from when he was at Gaming Bible.
Okay.
So got to know him through social media, and it wasn't too long when he, a couple of months, well maybe 6 to 8 months after knowing him, he parted ways with Gaming Bible, but we've always just kept in touch, both me, Chris, and Mike. So when a book came along, we asked Mike if he'd be interested. Mike's a huge fan, so as well as having 2 people with passion for it, and then you just go to a writer that you're like, what do you think of it? Oh, I'm well into all those games as well. It was just perfect timing.
Yeah, it seems like it's pieced together.
This is it. It just fell together in one sense, that all the stars aligned for it.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I'm trying to think of his previous books. I mean, I've got his Indie Games one, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and he's done sort of a bite-sized history of video games as well. So if you type anywhere that looks up Mike Diver in Amazon, you'll see his previous books, and they are of very good quality. He's a very passionate writer and writes really well. So, and then just seeing the layout on the books, it seems a good balance of excellent photography, but it isn't just that kind of coffee table book that is just about bling, is it? The information written there, it looks very informative and gives a good in-depth synopsis of each and every one of the featured VFDs on this, and I think you've nailed the balance, to be honest, on this. Yeah,
that was one of the key things, not to make it too much either one or the other, because like you say, no one wants to read War and Peace about a simple tabletop game.
Yeah,
it's how many columns do you need to read through? But it's a mixture of telling a narrative, a bit of a story. There's some there's bits of humour in it. I was the proofreader on this book, so
Oh, well, that's that ruined then. Don't edit this bit out.
Yeah, I've read it from cover to cover a couple of times. And like I say, there's a bit of humour in it as well. So it's fun when you're reading through that you're not just getting loads of facts like thrown at you. You're actually semi-involved in it because it's all about the nostalgia, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
The whole of the book is nostalgia. Yeah,
you need some anecdotal tales to go with it, and memories, or where it's reflecting on drilling over the Argos catalogue, or as you referred to just a little bit back there about toy days at primary school. We were like that at the end of term, the last day before the summer holidays. Everyone was allowed to bring a toy in, and the amount of people that brought these kind of devices in, and you got to see all the different ones because of that. That's nostalgia, and hearing about these kind of things I think is far more interesting. I'd rather read that kind of thing rather than dry, boring facts.
Yeah, and it's like the limitations of it. I mean, we all know they're not perfect gaming devices.
No.
But the thing is, when you're a child, your imagination does the rest of it. That's one thing. And then as an adult, you can appreciate how annoying these machines must have been for mums and dads to hear the screeches, the blips, the blops. Same with Aspeckies, I guess. It's like...
but these bloody things didn't have a volume controller. Most of them didn't. They were full on when you turned them on.
Yeah, I've got the Ninja Turtles Konami handhelds. And honestly, the only time I can actually play it is if like my wife goes out, because it's so loud, she can hear it downstairs. It's high pitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I say, you can't control the volume, so it's just like...
That's awesome. I bet your ringtone in your phone's got that
as well.
And that one that speaks, sorry.
Yeah, Splinter Speaks. It's like that's the one that my brother actually had before the first one, so I actually own both of them again for the nostalgia of them.
Oh, brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, the way Mike writes is brilliant because, like I say, it's a mixture. That's what I liked about. Like, I was enjoying getting to proofread it. To be honest, it's fun just being able to like go through the book, as it were. And yeah, there was times where he's actually making me chuckle as I'm going through it. Cause I'm just been there, done that, or you can just relate to, like I say, the limitations, but no one cared about it. Like if a joystick was a bit sticky or was a bit or just completely loose, you just put up with it, didn't you? You just tolerated everything when you was a kid.
Yeah. A bit like your own local arcade. It was a bit like that at times if they didn't maintain the machines anyway, so there's a bit more authenticity there.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you hear people now and they're like, oh, this doesn't go exactly like this, and it's like, back in the day, you just put up with whatever was there. If someone had stuck the button down with like bubble gum. You
wouldn't have been so ungrateful to your parents for buying you these because they were so bloody expensive that you were privileged in a time of financial difficulty that you were getting pretty pricey stuff that probably your mum was paying up on the Littlewoods or Kay's catalogue for 52 weeks at a hugely inflated price. Anyway, you probably didn't know half of it.
No, that's it, isn't it? Like when you're a kid, you don't appreciate the value of things. I mean,
absolutely.
I think these were all like in the 30 quid brackets and upwards for some of them.
Yeah.
And I'm one of four, so it's like one of four kids. It's like you didn't get these lightly. It's Christmas, but it's not something Dad would have brought home after work.
No.
It's literally a birthday or a Christmas, and then if one of me or my two brothers got it, we all played it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we've got other contributions from other celebs on this as well, including Jason Bradbury. How did you go about contacting all these blokes and that for their views on these classic machines?
Yeah, so Jason, Chris has known Jason for a number of years, and obviously Jason's like a keen tech person anyway.
Indeed.
So that's, again, it was just getting people involved who had an interest in what we were doing. It's like, just asking people like, we're thinking about what's your opinion of these tabletop games? If they're like, oh, I had this, and you can just tell from their voices how enthused certain people are. Mm-hmm. Jason was on board straight away. Same with Stuart Ashens. Mm-hmm. Again, if you watch his channel, it's is the age that you need to be to appreciate the games.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, all these people were because they wanted to be in it. You know, this is the thing. It's like they actually had a passion for what we were doing. We didn't just like shoehorn them in because of the names. It's like we found people that were actually on the same level as the book, if you like. I think the youngest person in the book is Dan. He's younger than me, so it's just on the threshold of where these games came from.
Yeah, but
because I was the same. Me and Chris had this chat where these tabletops weren't around for very long. No. Yeah, so only certain age ranges really have the nostalgia for it.
Absolutely, and I'm 50, and I remember them very well. And you know, I was one of, like what I said, I drooled over the catalogues when you got the Christmas season catalogue out, and you seen the next iterations of games coming out, and you were just super excited about seeing them. And most of the times you just dreamed in your mind's eye what it would be like to play them, because you knew you could only ask for one. You couldn't have 5 or 6 or 7, you know. So each household was limited over maybe a few Christmases over that short period of time, a finite collection of them. So it wasn't like video games where we could pirate the ones we couldn't afford to buy. You had to own them. And so, yeah, it is just a very brief moment in time of a very finite amount. And we're fortunate enough, there's enough people around to, you know, remember all of them collectively.
Yeah, I think our age range is definitely that. I mean, Chris is 50 in December.
Mm-hmm.
I've just turned 46.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like I say, I'm on the cusp of that. So I think once you get down to 40-year-olds, that's where it just drifts off, and it depends if their older brother had that. My youngest brother's 40.
Right.
And I think that's where about it'll start to tail off. See, there's not a wide age range. You know, it's pretty much condensed into really about 8 years.
Yeah,
give or take.
For sure.
You know, and that's pretty niche for most technology. You know.
Yeah. So the campaign itself, then, obviously you are looking for a £25,000 goal. Currently speaking, at the moment we're £10,500 there. So you're making good progress with, you know, still a while to go yet before the campaign ends on Kickstarter. I mean, is there anything else you want to say about it, about the campaign in general?
Well, we're at Play Expo Blackpool, if anyone's there. So basically the guys who are contributing in the book are going to be at Play Expo Blackpool.
Wow.
With the exception of Brandon. He can't make it. But we're also taking all the tabletops with us. So if anyone wants to see a massive bunch of tabletop games, that's going to be the one. There's I don't know how many batteries we're doing, because that's going to be insane. But yeah, that's one of the things. So yeah, anyone that's coming to play Blackpool, there's a talk on them from everyone in the book, and like I say, there's a chance to actually get a bit hands-on with them as well. So yeah, the campaign itself, almost at the halfway stage, but these things they've got to be kept alive, if you like.
Yeah.
Because they're always alive at the start, and then obviously all the people who are interested pretty much back it there and then it trickles in the middle. Tends to be a lot of Kickstarters do that, where all the interest is at the start. So we're hoping, because we're at Blackpool, that helps nudge it a little bit as well, because people can see it. I think we've got the book with us. It's not fully finished, but it's got like the pages that you can see on the website. We've got those in the book, so people can get a feel for the cover and the weight of it and the size of it, which I think is important.
Yeah.
This is not a small book either. This is just oversized A4. For me, my main thing with this is it's the perfect way to actually reminisce without having to have a crazy expensive collection in your house.
Yeah.
And like what you said, it's just impossible to have them all.
No, it was impossible.
Just for either space reasons or financial reasons. but it's great to be able to just flick through, find out about some of the ones that you missed out on, find out some of their limitations. Now, one of the stretch goals, if we can make it, is going to be QR codes in the book, and then if you scan the QR code, you can see gameplay. That's what we're really hoping that happens.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because how cool would that be that you can give that to someone who never experienced it? They can scan the QR code and you can see it. And same for me. There's loads of these games that I haven't ever seen. So when I'm reading the book, it'd be great just to have a quick look in what's being described. You can then see in video form.
Oh, for sure. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. I mentioned this on the last show. There are tons and tons and tons of authentic remakes of these to play on your PC screen, where they've captured all the graphics, the joystick moves and all the rest, and most of them you can get in, from archive.org now, and most of them are done by a remaker called Madrigal, and they're really worth playing, just in case you've never came across any of those.
No, I hadn't, mate. So I was aware of the Game & Watch versions.
Yeah,
but I don't usually go on them because I've got the Game Boy versions of the Game Boy.
Exactly. Yes.
Watch.
Yes.
So I play on them because that's the easiest way. Well, I've got a couple anyway, but yeah, I didn't know someone had done that, so that's great to hear.
Yeah,
I might actually again, when you've got the book out, that's quite nice because you can literally get to a point, stop, play it.
Exactly. Exactly, it's well worth looking up. There used to be a website, a friend of mine called Hitman from the old Remakes days. He had a whole website dedicated to linking to them. It was Hitman's handheld remakes. That may still be up there on the net or not. Someone, like you're speaking to just now, has a zip file of the entire archive of them. So speak to him nicely and you shall get.
It's so good that people have done that because, like I say, these things get lost to time, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And also, like I say, some of these things are so expensive that you've got to be a hardcore collector to part with hundreds of pounds for a plastic toy.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very niche collectible market, that one, and it requires a very understanding partner, doesn't it?
Yeah. Again, what have you got there? It's this little toy. How much did you spend? 200 quid? And you've just halved what you've spent on it just to get.
I know.
You're thinking, I'll get away with that. But yeah, I couldn't have a £300 plastic toy on the shelf.
No. Wait till kids come along, mate.
Oh yeah, well. That's under lock. That's the loft, isn't it? Really, that's what happens.
With the battery still inside.
Yeah. Do you know? Until you said that, I'd completely forgotten that was a thing as well. Those D batteries just.
They leaked when you looked at them, just about. Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't. Because that's the thing as well. 80s batteries are not the same as 90s or what we're in now.
No. Ever ready batteries weren't the most reliable for sure, and. They were zinc oxide batteries mainly, so they didn't last that long. They drained so rapidly, so even the early iterations of rechargeable batteries, they just drained so quickly that the power adapter, in truth, was the only real solution for these things.
Yeah, that's it. It's it cost parents a fortune otherwise.
Yeah. Right. So sorry, I kind of cut you off halfway through discussing about the campaign itself there. So obviously that you've got all the different tiers then, as you were saying. So one was the QR code off to, little clips of it playing one of the stretch goals. Any other stretch goals on it at all?
Yeah, it's the early bird is the best chance to get the book £10 cheaper than what it'll normally be. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be quick, if you're really interested, be quick and back it on the early bird. Save yourself a tenner.
That's good, indeed. You're offering it on PDF of the book as well, and I think that's important that not everyone really wants to, they don't have the space. They've maybe bought enough books in time, so a lot of people release the PDF later, try to get sales on the physical copy first and then maybe at a later date offer it as a PDF. But it's nice to see that as part of the campaign.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people who do like electronic versions of stuff. I suppose you can get them on. They go on the tablets, don't they? So
yeah,
I think that's the main thing. Is if you've got a nice tablet, it's quite an easy way to not destroy the planet. You just read on there.
Not destroy the planet, says the man that's importing wood from the Amazon through the Suez Canal to make authentic arcade mini cabs.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's the world we live in.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Honestly, I go to work sometimes and I see people literally take a paper cup and just throw it in a bin. And it's next to a recycling bin and they'll just throw it in a normal bin. And I'm just like, I'm doing my best. And and then you've got people that are just not interested.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for joining me here, Darren. It's good to catch up with you again. It's been a while since I've chatted with you. And please don't be a stranger on the show. We'll get you back speaking about the quarter-size arcades in the future, when you've maybe got some more new things out in the works and that. Until then, please, if anyone is going to Blackpool, which is what's the dates of that now? It's next.
So it's this Saturday coming.
It's a Saturday coming. As soon as that,
yeah.
Then you're going to see all these VFDs on display. The Numbskull design team will all be there with the guest speakers, all speaking about the book and the memories of these games. I think that alone is worth the entrance price to Play Expo. So thanks again, mate, and we'll catch you very soon. And if anyone is at this event, don't be shy, go and speak to Darren. He doesn't bite, well, not normally.
Not unless I've been kept on the stall for so long.
Yeah, bursting for a pee and not eating all day, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Just bring a protein bar and I'll be fine.
Good stuff. Thanks again, mate.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot, Kingy.
Anyway, well, I guess we'll wrap things up. I hope everybody has a wonderful Halloween. Can't wait to see you all, or the core of our listeners, at Arcade Club. It's going to be great seeing everybody again. So until next time, boils and ghouls, pleasant screams. Keep it retro.
Bye.